I tell you one story. You love this. Like when I had a chat with Cameron early on, when we started to write the script, we called him just to ask him the very specific question of what did it mean by another bug hunt if the Marines had encountered xenomorphs before now. And he told me about his experience showing aliens for the first time. And Cameron goes like, oh, we show up there and no one makes a sound for most of the movie. And then when Ripley comes out with a power loader and says, get away from her, you bitch, the whole theater explodes. And that's when he knew for the first time that he got him, because he thought he was terrified. He thought he didn't have anybody, and the movie wasn't working. And at that point, he had everybody. And when we showed the movie the first time a couple of weeks ago, it was kind of the same. It was like it was a fly, like no one made a sound during the whole movie. And I was like, oh man, I'm messed up. This is not working. And then late in the film, there's a moment that happens, and the whole theater fell apart. And it was like, wow, just collapsing, cheers and screaming. And I was like, oh great, we do have it. How do you guys?
Hi, Fede. How are you?
Well, good. Where are you? Where are you in Canada?
We're in Toronto.
Nice.
Have you ever been?
Only to Montreal, to Fantasia. I took Read there a few years ago. It was great.
Oh, very nice.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's a really good festival from what we've been hearing.
Yeah, it's really nice.
Yeah, you got to come to Toronto one day, though. It's great here.
Love to.
We just want to say, first of all, thank you so much for sharing your time with us on the Movie Podcast today. We are such big fans of your work here on the show. And by the time we're releasing this episode, your trailer for Alien Romulus is going to be releasing into the worlds. How are you feeling?
Oh, it's so exciting. Man, we make these movies and it's such an experience, right? Imagine you're doing the best thing you waited all your life to do, and you cannot tell anybody about it. That's how he felt till today, because of course, people that are involved in the movie you can share it with, but you all you want is to show it to the world. That's why you make it. I do these things to make you feel stuff, to make you feel shit, and though the teaser is short and doesn't show a lot, hopefully already gets you a little bit of a fix of those emotions that I think only Alien can do, that space, that sci-fi horror that only Alien can deliver, I think. So to finally be able to show it to you and be able to chat is a blast.
It made us feel a lot of shit, man. Like, I'll be honest with you. We waited till we got access to it. And it was just like middle of the night, and we were just like, this is the perfect time to be watching this trailer. And like you said, even though it's short, it scared the hell out of us.
Oh yeah.
Great to hear. That's the idea.
And we're so curious. Like, what is a favorite moment of yours from the trailer? Because we definitely have ours we want to share with you. But we're curious from your perspective. And I know it's a hard question as well.
Well, I'd say, it's tricky. But I think for me, it's always what you don't see. So I think that pulled back on the corridor. I'm seeing if I'm a fan and yeah, which I am, but if I was one that I don't know and I'm not related to the movie, I'm just a fan watching it, to just slowly discover that I'm back in that era of Alien. Yes, that's where we are, and not only that era, but that genre. Alien has been many genres and have been mutated and changing and back and forth, and I think that it promises that it goes back to horror like it does. That's what I will go, wow, great, oh man. Hopefully most people feel as I do. That's what always you hope as a director. Well, people feel they want the same thing you want to see. So that's probably my favorite part. And then, among the shots, I really tried to show the minimum amount. I didn't want to, it's a teaser. It's supposed to I hate spoilers. If I get in my way, you'll never know really what the movie's about until you sit down there on Friday night. That's what it should be, I think. I really work hard on these movies for a long time, only to serve those 2 hours that you sit down and watch the movie, right? It's all about that moment, right? And so anything that takes away, steals from that moment, is a bad thing for me. So hopefully, I can assure you that the teaser doesn't reveal much or show much, and you can still just get a taste of the vibe without take it away from that night. My favorite shots are not there. Let's put it that way.
That's fair.
Because I don't want to
show them.
I want you to see them that night, right? We'll see what happens when we do the next trailer. But my favorite shots are not there yet.
That's absolutely fair. Like, what we loved so much about the trailer is just like the mood that it kind of puts you in. And then there's a moment, right, where for myself, when you see Kaylee Spaney just kind of show up on the screen with the smoke behind her, she's just holding the gun. It took us right back to Aliens, the James Cameron version, where it's like, okay, a lot of this trailer has been horror, but here's that almost 80s action kind of a look to it as well.
There's a lot of that too. I look, as a fan at the beginning, when we started thinking about it, I was like, okay, what's the era? Where do you take it? Where do you take it to? And I realized what a perverse choice to make someone choose between Alien and Aliens, right? Horrendous choice. Like, so it's not like, so I figured a way, and you'll see it in the story. That's why it takes place between two movies in a way, almost perfectly, and actually 20 years after the first story. So technology-wise and era-wise, the technology of Alien obviously exists, and the technology of Aliens is not too far. And no one said that what you see on Aliens has just been invented, right? Particularly, it's supposed to be a shitty colony in Aliens. So the stuff you encounter there is technology that's been around for a while, I'm sure, right? Maybe the colonial marine stuff might be more modern, but so we're standing right there where we can enjoy a bit of both worlds. And there's two styles. I gotta give you it's not a spoiler, but it's information you will see in the story, which is most of the story takes place in the space station, what I call the Renaissance Station, and it's made of two models. One is older than the other one. One it's called Remus, which is more from the world of Alien, which is older. The technology is more reminiscent of that, and the other one is called Alien. It's called Romulus, which is brand new in a way. I mean, the place by the time you find it is abandoned already, but the technology is way more recent. So it looks more like the stuff you could encounter in Aliens. So almost like the story, in a way, gave me the chance to be on those two worlds, inside the same movie.
That's very cool. And, that's what we wanted to ask, because Romulus is such an interesting name. It's an interesting subtitle for an alien film. And we wanted to ask you more about, your insight behind what that means for this film.
Well, it's obviously based, I mean, this is, of course, let's go back, on the Weyland Yutani of it all in Aliens and really deep canon, there's always a lot of references to early Roman Empire things like rivers and cities, etc. So the creational myth of Rome, which is Romulus and Remus, there's two kids that feed from a she-wolf, to in a way get their powers that will make them who they were. It's very related to the story in a way. To steal the powers from a aggressive creature. Then it's also a story about siblinghood. There's a lot of the characters in the movie. There's a lot of pairs in the movie of siblings, either related by blood, related because surrogate siblings that grew up together and love each other as siblings, and it's really at a character level. A lot of the themes have to do with that, what it means to truly be siblings, right? Be brothers and sisters.
Very interesting. It just makes me more curious now. Like, again, I know there's so much.
Romulus killed Remus, by the way.
Okay.
The ones that don't know the myth, it didn't go well with those two.
No, you're right. And there's so much that, like, while watching the trailer, and you only get a certain amount of views to watch it in, so we're just kind of like dissecting it at every frame. Are there like any Easter eggs that you really want to have like fans kind of look out for that you're really hoping they pick up on?
If you're a true fan, I shouldn't tell you.
It's true. That's true.
You don't need me to tell you.
Yeah, most of our name was covering the trailer.
If I have to point it at you, it's like just explaining why a joke is funny. It's like,
right.
Yeah,
does not work.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
But there is plenty. There is plenty of things there. And the teaser, there's definitely a few. But in the movie, oh boy. There's tons of it. Yeah.
No, that's so exciting, and I we have to ask you, as a fan, you're coming into this franchise. You've worked on other horror films and franchises before, but you as a fan coming into this, obviously we're setting it in between the first film, between Alien and Aliens. You growing up, having watched those films, what was it like for you when you got this opportunity to now leave your mark on this franchise?
It's incredible. It's a once in a lifetime opportunity. Obviously, I tell you, first as a filmmaker, but forget about all that. Forget about just I had nothing to do, really. I think at a visceral level, has nothing to do with career and movies and directing. It just had to do with, you suddenly know when you're going to do it that you're physically going to be able to be there. Like this world that we've seen in the screen, I know when I know I'm gonna make it, that I gotta be able to be walking on a Weyland-Yutani station and space. And the way I make them, where it's forbidden to use green screens or anything like that, and I go completely out of my way to do practical effects everywhere. I know that I gotta see these things. I gotta be standing on that corridor, and I gotta see the xenomorph. I gotta see the facehuggers running around. I gotta see all these things for real around me. And we build sets that you can walk around the whole thing. You can get lost inside that ship for real, right? So that is what I knew. It's just to know. It's like to know that you're gonna open a portal, and you're gonna be able to be transported there and actually physically be there. And when I say action and the scene goes, if I look in a certain direction, it's fucking happening in front of me. Like it's happening. I'm there. I'm terrified. I'm hiding behind a little crate, and I'm seeing the whole action happening. And that is the biggest pleasure you get, right? So that I tell you is what gets me going and what excites me the most. And hopefully when I do that, it's like I get to go home and bring the story to the audience. Can't wait to tell you what happened. The things I've seen. I've seen things.
That's amazing. And I'm thinking of like in the trailer, the scene with like just like the face huggers like jumping towards, like it's so scary. And I think what's so fascinating about Alien especially is that it never relied on like the orchestra, like the score, like to have like a jump scare noise or sound effects like that. I think what you were seeing was so scary in its own regard. And I think of like when the facehugger like falls on Ripley, and it's like that's so scary on its own. And I think that's the vibes that we were getting from this. So it's so nice to know that this is steering in that horror direction more than some of the other genres that the franchise has gone in before.
Thank you. Yeah, man, you make my day. That's what I hope happens with the audience, that they get all that vibe and they get that style from the original movies. But at the same time, like the approach while always making decisions about how we're going to make this movie and all these practical effects and all these classic techniques. I always knew that 2023 at that point when we made last year will pour through the windows. There's nothing that can stop the current times, right? So there's always going to be technology and things, just the way people are and actors behave, but the way you tell stories as well, everything. It's impossible to stop that from coming in, and I think it's in the mix of those two things, of the classic techniques and the classic approach to filmmaking and the modern elements. Is that combination that's all that makes it look and be fresh and new, right? So, but it is, with Rodo, my co-writer, our approach was like, okay, if Alien is a band, we want this movie to be that show you'll be waiting for, where they just play all the hits. When they go, okay, we're gonna play all the songs, and plus we get to play a few new songs.
We love that. I mean, we love that you touched upon also like the practicality of real sets and really having that tangible feeling, because the trailer, again, only just about a minute long, you feel a lot of that. I can tell those face huggers are running across the screen. It doesn't feel like we're getting a lot of CG, just that practicalness. So I love that. When you got a chance to finally show Ridley Scott this movie, you spoke about how it was like just a nerve-wracking experience to show it to him. What more kind of came from that? Because you said he loved it. So what was it about it?
Well, that shows you already is a testament to how practical this movie is, because what I show him was a director's cut, right? And when you do your first cut, there's no VFX. There's no time, right? It's the director's cut can happen very early in the process. So a lot of the VFX will never be there, right? You just don't have anything of that. But still, it was a full-on experience. You can watch the movie. There's nothing missing out of it because the VFX are not there. So that tells you how much we rely on CG. Not a lot. We do have incredible shots there, but it is everything that could be done practical was done practical. So that's why it made that experience. And what else did I get? I mean, look, I think it's the best. The main reason, the other big part of the joy of making these films is to be able to work with the masters of your craft, right? And to be able to go and sit down with Ridley with script or with a finished movie and talk about it. And at that point, I was so lucky that he really liked it, that he really enjoyed it, and that means that he felt it was that it honored his movie and his movies, and that it was faithful to what he thought Alien should be, and that means so much to me. And then there's always debate about Yeah, no, a lot of stuff with the tends to be very technical, right? Stuff that you chat for a different day. Like Ridley has this thing where he goes, "Okay, you got to watch this movie with your back to the screen and be able to understand everything people say." Like it's very specific about that, like just clarity and when other directors like Christopher Nolan maybe not give a shit about you understanding the dialogue. That's all. But anyway, so you know what I mean? It's like there's very specific things about him that I find incredible, fascinating, and I learned so much from it. Then I had the chance a time later when the movie was a bit more finished to show it to Cameron as well, which I also chatted with him at the very beginning of the process and watched the movie. And he will have his comments. He loved it, and he will have his comments that were completely different to Ridley's, which is focus. It's not that they disagree. They don't disagree. They just focus on complete different things. You know what I mean? So that has been the pleasure to me of making this movie, to be able to chat a lot with those two and hear their thoughts and how they approach filmmaking and what it's important for them and how they're completely different people, in that respect, and they approach it from completely different places. But that is, out of that, you get what you get the most is learning, and they make the movie better. They have such an eye for this. Those two men, they're the masters of this craft. You rarely get to have people like that to help in a movie, and I think they've been an incredible contribution to the film.
Absolutely.
That's incredible. That's wow. Like what more can you say? Like you got to show these two just titans in the industry, a film that you got to make, and we're curious. The Alien franchise is turning 45 this year. So many of the films that you've worked on have been within the horror genre. You as a filmmaker, what has kept you, playing in this genre of film? What is your love of this film? Of this genre? Why do you keep staying here?
This is, I remember like when I was, I sit down to watch Evil Dead for the first time with an audience, right? 10 years ago, went to a theater, have Sam Raimi sitting next to me, and the movie starts. I don't know what to expect, and then suddenly, you get the room that is alive with energy and jumping and screaming and cheering, and it's a rock concert, right? You cannot believe what's happening, and I remember at some point, at some massive reaction, I got out of the audience being completely blown away, because I had made stuff at that point. Obviously, no one gives you a first movie. I haven't done anything, not a lot of short movies, but I never had that theatrical experience of a feature that is delivering and what the audience is expecting to see. Particularly that night, that audience that couldn't wait to see that movie, right? So, and I remember turning to Sam, and Sam looked at me, and he saw my look in my face, and he said, "Well, you'll see now. From now on, you're gonna live your life just to live this moment again, over and over." And that's what happened, and that's what you crave. It's such an incredible energy. I cannot explain to you. But particularly for me, that I write and direct my movies, you spend so much time with these characters and so much love put on them, and then when you finally sit down and get that energy from people that not a lot of genres can do, some movies can be great and incredible, but not a fly, you're hear anything in the theater. You have to then, maybe ask someone or go online and find out what they felt, but in the moment you will never know. With the horror, just like I guess in comedy and thrillers, and this sort of, you get the visceral reaction from the audience, right? And it's such a pleasure. And this, I tell you one story, you love this. Like when I had a chat with Cameron early on, when we started to write the script, we called him just to ask him the very specific question of what did he mean by another bug hunt? If the Marines had encountered xenomorphs before now, which call for another day. The conversation for another day, but we want to know very specifics about his movie. And he told me about his experience showing Aliens for the first time. And Cameron goes like, "Oh, we show up there. He shows up there. He's going to watch the movie. He doesn't know what to expect. And no one makes a sound for most of the movie. And then when Ripley comes out with a power loader and says, 'Get away from her, you bitch,' the whole theater explodes. And that's when he knew for the first time that he got it, because he thought he was terrified. He thought he didn't have anybody, and the movie wasn't working. And at that point, he had everybody. And when we showed the movie the first time a couple of weeks ago, you do this previews where you just put a bunch of people in theater, and it was incredible screen. The it was kind of the same. It was like with the fly, like no one made a sound during the whole movie. And I was like, oh man, I'm messed up. This is not working. And then late in the film, there's a moment that happens, and the whole theater fell apart, and it was like, wow, just collapsed in cheers and screaming. And I was like, oh great, we do have it. so.
Oh, man.
That's why you make these things. It's just for those moments, and nothing makes you personally connected with the audience as experiencing that moment, being in that embrace of emotion that you're giving people when they scream and yell and they're terrified, and it's just truly special. So that's what gets me going in the morning when I gotta make this movie. It's just to hope that then a year or something from that moment, you'll have that experience. It's truly about that night for me. It's gonna be when I finally get to show the movie to the audience.
Yeah. Oh,
I love that you got that moment.
We love that, and we cannot wait. You're making the wait even harder for us now. So
August can't come any sooner.
yeah, thank you so much for your time. We really hope we get to talk to you once we've seen it, so we could talk about all the spoilers and talk about that specific moment. But Fede, thank you so much for your time, and all the best to you with the lead up to the film.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Pleasure talking to you.